podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to It's Only a Game. In a season where City are on three-peat and the Seagulls look set to steal chips across the continent, Love Island is competition for the best villa in Europe. Meanwhile, Leeds and Leicester take L's as they drop into the Championship, with statistically the worst Everton team in fucking history somehow surviving. Luton's away end has gone as viral as Will Still in the 1963 Boxing Day results, and they've completed the fairy tale. Let's just hope the Premier League don't get them to kill the Kenny, those bastards. Sheffield Wednesday are left wanting more after a classic playoff campaign, and Carlisle going up creates the best moment in the Simpson household for many seasons. Today, we're joined by Greg, as well as the boys from What a Ball Ache, Ant and Gary. How are we doing, gents?
Not bad, thank you very much.
All good, thanks. All good.
Love that intro, mate.
Brilliant.
Fantastic.
Brilliant.
Doing all right, Jim. Yeah,
Been working on that all day. Absolutely. Nothing else. Wasn't just sat there for 5 minutes before recording, peeking behind the curtain. Sorry, Greg, you were saying, mate?
Yeah, good reference for Simpson. Big fan of Paul Simpson. I'm glad Carlisle went up.
Yeah, I thought you'd enjoy the Simpson bit. Just as a, I didn't realise actually until listening to a podcast before the League Two playoff final, because who doesn't? That I think his son works for Stockport.
Does he?
As a scout or a coach or something. So there was a bit of a rivalry on the day where I think they were going to not talk for a couple of days beforehand. Because obviously, like, he's the manager of Carlisle. I think his son literally worked for Stockport County, and it was a case of like one of those weird juxtapositions. So I thought, ooh, there's got to be a joke about the Simpsons household in there somewhere.
That's quite good. I like that. So we get straight
We'll into all things, lads.
Yeah.
And Gary, of course, you've been welcome back to the podcast. You're on your second appearance, I believe now.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm glad you remember, because I was going to say you do your hat-trick ball, but then I forget. I think I've been on your podcast twice, so we will plug
leave
later.
the typical third album for next time.
There you go.
We'll get the hat-trick ball signed and ready for you for next time. So obviously both your massive Sunderland fans, the biggest club in the North East, of course. Can't think of anyone else that was top that. Nah. Obviously lost in the playoffs to the fairy tale that is Luton Town, that everyone's going on about. How do you rate your first season back in the Championship overall? Hard to really gauge when you've done so well coming back, but is it a sense of what could have been, or is it a case of we've overachieved and just great to be back at this level for now?
Bit of both, really. Like, when you get there, when you get the playoffs, you do want to win, don't you? So obviously losing to Luton Town, you know, especially after the first leg when I thought we were excellent and, you know, playing with half a team. You know, I was gutted after losing to Luton, but I kind of, when you look on the season, considering everything that's happened, you know, as we all well know, you know, obviously Alex Neil left us to join Stoke. You know, really thrilled that they did really well this season. You know, that's sarcasm, by the way. But you know, we've been, you know, obviously we've lost Ross Stewart for God knows how long this season. You know, we're playing a lot of games out of striker. And then in the last 6 weeks of the season, we just seem to get injury after injury after injury, and having to play, you know, young lads, you know, having to play centre half, a right back, centre half, a centre midfielder, centre half, a winger, left back. It was just, you know, to get there was just such a great accomplishment under Tony Mowbray. Once we got there, yeah, a little bit disappointed, but you know, the team that beat us have gone on to get promoted. I think you kind of take solace in that, don't you? That, you know, you've lost to the winners. So and normally the team that finishes third don't normally go up to there, you know. But you know, I think in all three of the divisions, the team that was like the closest to playoffs all won, didn't it? I'm fairly confident Carlisle came fourth in League Two. I know I'm going to be proved badly wrong now, because it might have been Stockport, but never mind. But you know, all in all, on the season, yeah, Mint, we're playing some wonderful football. You know, fingers crossed we can keep the majority of the squad together. Get some recruitment in. You know, get a striker and see what happens. You know, but yeah, it's great to support the team again. You know, we've had four years in League One where it was horrible. You know, we've managed to get out of it, and then first season back, 6th place. You can't argue with it, can you, Gary?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, massively overachieved, first and foremost. I think, you know, we would have took 21st place in the league, surviving by a point. end of the day staying up. To finish sixth and especially sneak in on the very last day of the normal season is insane. Results went our way. We're a team as well who haven't spent any money. We bought, I think, Jack Clark, and that's the only player we financially used money to buy. A lot of our moves have been loans. Actually, no, 1 million for Jewison Burnett as well. So a lot of our players have been loans, has been development moves. To see how well like the young players have like gelled for a season where we haven't even had our full squad for the majority of it. We lost, Ellis Sims in January, which was a blow. We were left effectively with no striker because of Ross Stewart getting injured again. We had to get Joe Gellart in, who, bless him, he's played under 21 football for most of the season. We could clearly tell as well towards the back end of his time for us. You could tell he was really finding his feet. He was really looking a bit more fit and alive, and really adjusting to that role. But like Anne said, like we've had half a team. We played a back four in the playoffs of a right winger, central midfielder by trade at right back. Lyndon Gooch actually signed as a striker from Santa Cruz. We would have played him as a left winger naturally, playing left back. Centre midfielder of Luke O'Nien playing centre back, and Trey Hume right back playing centre back. So to achieve what we've actually achieved is brilliant. And I'll remember that I did make a prediction that we would win the playoffs on our podcast. I was only
You
one.
also said Stockport will go down though, so you're
I
one
did.
for one really.
Yeah, I did. But to be fair, I was only 2 games away from potentially being right there. But optimistic. Sunderland fan got to be optimistic. We have had a lot of terrible seasons where things just haven't gone our way, so we'll have to be optimistic. But overall, brilliant season. Just need to crack on. We need to work on the project. We need to keep the players who have really improved our side, such as Jack Clark. Keeping Patrick Roberts around for another season. Pierre Ekwa looks like he has some ability about him. We need to work on Trey Hume's development. Anthony Patterson just came on brilliantly this season. Needs to learn to kick a ball, but that's a lot of goalkeepers nowadays. And yeah, just think overall just a really good season, really good time to be a Sunderland fan. Playing the best football we have in years. So yeah. For me, we've overachieved. Even if we finished in the bottom half of the table, we would have been overachieving. So, yeah, I'm happy with that.
One thing that struck me with your side is, I think, not that I don't obviously follow you week in, week out with your results and that, but I think when you don't really, you get a perception of what a team is like and their recruitment's been like over years, and having seen obviously the stuff on Netflix, sorry lads to reference that, you must be sick of the back teeth of it, but I know. No, but where the team was largely a lot of like older ex-Premier League players and stuff like that, and I was really surprised throughout the season seeing just how young your team was. And then juxtaposed with the fact that you had a pretty old school kind of, what's perceived to be an old school manager in Tony Mowbray coming in. And how good the football is. When you think about Mowbray, you think, he's going to be a very sort of typical kind of Neil Warnock style championship manager, that standard kind of sort of British old school way. And yet, what have you made of him? Because I think he's been really forward thinking. He's really impressed me as to how much of a modern thinking, adaptable tactician that he is, and his ability to blood young lads in. To get Amad Diallo on loan for one is an absolute masterstroke. I think he's been fantastic, and I'm gutted you're most likely not going to get him back from United next season. I think he's going to be in the Premier League at someone, unfortunately. Sorry, but he's a cracking player. But just the players you've got, there's a base of, for me personally, there's a great young side there that I reckon could definitely, getting prediction early, could kick on and go up next season, most certainly. But what have you made of Mowbray coming in? Because it's not an appointment that really stylistically fit compared to Alex Neil. Yeah, he's taken on the team and done more with it than arguably Neil would have done.
Yeah, it was probably a blessing in disguise, to be fair, in looking back on it, where you look at what Alex Neil's done at Stoke, and they have struggled, and I said earlier on before, what Alex Neil will never forget what he did to us, because obviously, he got us out of League One. We'll be internally grateful, but he chose, the money over the project, which is totally up to him. You know, it is what it is. But when Mowbray came in, I remember a lot of fans were a little bit sceptical of it. But we interviewed a Blackburn fan on another website that I'm part of, and they said that he'd be absolutely amazing at recruiting youth and developing them. Because when he was at Blackburn, they had a really young side as well, and just mixed it in with the experience that we've got. I mean, he's been phenomenal. You know, especially the fact that, you know, everything's been like kind of kicked at him, as in Ross Stewart getting injured pretty early into his tenure and then coming back for about maybe 6 or 7 games and getting injured again. His captain Corey Evans gets injured in January, and you know we have been stuck with these players who are probably not ready yet. You know, the likes of Pierre Aqua came in, hadn't played a professional game, and he's all of a sudden having to play every week because we haven't got a fit centre midfielder. And he's just done the job he's done really cannot be described in words, to be honest, if you get what I mean by that. You know, it's just the feeling of that, you know, he's helped bring back a feeling of like kind of optimism among Sunderland fans, you know, and we nearly did it this year, and if he had done it, you know, I'd have given him a job for life at Sunderland, you know what I mean? But, you know, we fell at the second half last final third or whatever it is. But long term though, I'm not sure if he's the man that we're going to be looking at who's going to be the custodian of this club for the next 5-6 years. I think it'll be a younger manager it'll basically like what they're trying to do with the players, you know, develop younger players, develop a younger manager, and see where we are in 5 years' time with this manager. I'm fully on board giving Mowbray another year to see what he can do, and if he can get us up, brilliant. But I think in 2 or 3 years you're probably looking at a different manager. And I know that's kind of weird saying this guy's finished 6th, but it's the way the Sunderland model is. He's the most dispensable part of the club, because he doesn't sign the players. Christian Speaking and Stuart Harvey sign the players. He's literally just giving these players and making, you know, you're the one who has to, you know, get them together, train them up and see where they are. But they could do that with any manager, if you know what I mean by that. So as weird as it sounds and as horrible as it sounds, I'm not sure if he's the man to take us up because of his history in getting teams promoted. He's only been promoted once in West Brom. So and especially in the Premier League, you look at the types of like manager that Mowbray is. You know, you compare him to Warnock. Warnock struggled badly in the Premier League, and I think Mowbray will do exactly the same thing. I think he's just a little bit, you know, a fish out of water a little bit, but you know, you kind of take away the job he's done. You know, I'll probably get pelts for saying this, you know what I mean? But you know, because I'm so like I've met him a couple of times this season as well, and he's such a nice bloke. But you look at the way Sunderland are going with this model. I'm not sure he's going to be there in the next 2 or 3 years, as mad as it sounds.
I've got a quick question actually. I managed to watch the Preston Sunderland game a few weeks ago. The last full, what do we call it, fixture of the league, normal, I think. What was the atmosphere like? I think I saw that you two said you were going down on Twitter to Preston. Did you make it in the end? You got there, didn't you, to the Preston game? What was the atmosphere like? Because it was a bit, all kinds of different variables could have happened. I know Blackburn could have done it. I think Millwall were in there, or somebody else, yourselves. Was there just too much to sort of keep tabs on? What was the atmosphere like?
Absolutely insane. I mean, I think when we were under the hood of the stand, it was chaos. So no one really had any phone signal. People were saying between one another, "Oh, like so and so scored," or like Blackburn's came back, but no one ever really knew. Especially where I was sitting, because I was sitting at the other end to where Ant and Jack were sitting, and Carl was sitting further down. And like no one really kind of knew what was actually going on. So people were asking other people in the stands what's going on, because no one had any signal. But it was just absolutely chaos. And you know, obviously achieving what we achieved took us about half an hour to get out of the stadium as well, especially from my end as well. But one thing which was really, really interesting about that is the Preston fans. So when the game had finished at full time, Preston fans left. However, their players came out for the lap of honour, but there was no Preston fans left for it.
Oh, yeah.
All of the Sunderland fans stayed and clapped the Preston fans, which I thought was really classy. And the fact that no one could get out the stand because it was just chaos. But I thought that was really interesting, but the atmosphere absolutely insane. I absolutely loved it. First away fixture I've been to in quite a while as
Yeah.
well. So class, absolutely brilliant. Loved it.
It was
Yeah, it
difficult to.
was.
Sorry, go
Oh,
on.
yeah, sorry, yeah. Just out of that, it was kind of like what I was saying. Anyone that you feel you've got the club back now, and as like kind of cliched as it is, but going down there, we sold 6,000 tickets, and I think we probably could have sold the stadium out. Considering like how I think it went to like 55 loyalty points, which is quite a lot, and we sold out dead quick. I mean, I had to perform miracles to get Gary a ticket, to be honest. But just I've never really had that kind of buzz when you were waiting on other results. Just to get into the playoffs. I mean, it was mad. As Gary said, nobody's phone signal was working, so you were just going off word of mouth. And to get that, I mean, imagine if that was to go up, it would have been just surreal. And it was an amazing away day. It ranks in my top 3 definitely, and I've been to a few in my time, it was just amazing. It was a fantastic day out, and fair play to like I say, the Preston, the players afterwards. I mean, we were the only ones applauding them because Preston fans had nicked off, so it was literally just us applauding Preston fans. It was proper weird, but fair play to them. They came over and congratulated our players and all sorts. It was a great day out.
Can I ask, I know you said Signal wasn't very good in there, but you must have got an inkling at half time with Millwall. I think we're 3-1 up against Blackburn at the Den. Now, as we know, the Den's a hard place to go. You must have had some kind of idea at half time that it's not going to be our day. Millwall have made it. Coventry are getting a result at Borough. What was, if you can, tell us through the story of as Blackburn goals were seeking through, as in more and more hang on a minute, this is, because I think it was that Blackburn comeback in the last 20 minutes of the game that ensured you made the playoffs. Not that your own win obviously contributed, but what must that have been like, realising the slow realisation possibly that this is actually going to happen, where no one gave us not much of a chance, but we were an outsider to make it, and all of a sudden we've surged into the playoff places in the last 10 games of the season. And this mad comeback, Millwall absolutely shit the bed, and we're in the playoffs. What's that? That must have been absolutely mental.
Yeah, and bearing in mind we were 0-0 at half time as well, so we weren't doing our job either. I'd made me peace with it, to be fair. Probably before the game, I was like, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, fair enough. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have been too disappointed, but at half time, it was like, yeah, it's not going to be our day, because we'd had a couple of chances as well that we probably should have put away, and so did Preston, to be fair. But then, when we scored, when Ahmad scored an absolute worldie, and we're like, right, we're doing our bit, and it was just at the point where Blackburn were beginning to make their comeback, and I think it was either when Jack Clark's goal went in or Pritchard's, the second one, was when Blackburn equalised. So we were celebrating double, and then when the winner came in, you could see it. They showed on telly. It was a fantastic kind of reaction of what actually did happen, because it just went from where Gary was sitting, his end of the ground, all just jumped up, and we didn't have obviously where we didn't have a clue. There was nobody had any signal, so we were just asking everyone, yeah, it's 4-3. It was like, oh, we've done it then, because it was never gonna. I think that was the 89th minute or something. We were comfortably winning. We weren't going to throw it away because we had a fantastic second half, and it didn't really matter. I mean, I'd rather it had come from Blackburn, if you know what I mean, because the fan in us hated the fact that I wanted Borough to win. Being a local rival and things like that. I'd rather not. It's not a nice feeling, but yeah, euphoria at the end, Gary won it. It was amazing, wasn't it, mate?
It was crazy, and you're going back to there, no one really knowing what's going on, because no one had phone signal. It was very scattered. Even messages between all of us, when we're trying to find out what was going on, and obviously when we had the penalty shout as well. You obviously don't see a replay in the stadium, but it was just crazy. All of our messages were so scattered, and as you remember, and when we drove over and a bird shit on my car, I was like, it's our time, lads, it's our time. And I put a message in our group chat going, I've got a good feeling about this, it's coming. But when you don't know what's going on, you don't know what to think. But I mean, it was nice that an old team of Tony Mowbray's got us over the line, come back against Millwall, which, to be fair, was a shocker of a result. Duncan Watmore getting a brace as well. It was kind of like a little bit of a kick in the teeth to Russell in a little way. But then Tony Mowbray's team, former team, coming back, winning the game, which then obviously got us into 6th place. Insane, actually insane, but such a great atmosphere, such a great time, and credit the Preston support as well. Like never really, like we never like bumped into anyone who like give us any kind of chew, and they all said, to be honest, that we'll probably win. We've played well, which it's nice. It's nice when you're on an away day and there's no kind of like fans being a little bit arsey with you, I guess.
Do you remember back in the 90s, lads, when like there was always some bloke with a wireless attached to his ear? And I watched Match of the Day on Sunday and a couple of Leicester fans had it, and I was like, right, we had none of that. No one brought a wireless. There was just people just looking on the phone with no signal, simply because of how we'd sold the away end out. Everyone's phone had just crashed, so it was absolute madness. But it'd be something. Give me that again at the end of next season. I'll gladly take it. To be fair, it was such a great day out.
No, it was insane, absolutely insane. And you mentioned there about the guy with the radio to his ear for Leicester. I was expecting him to totally be a meme on Odds Bible on Instagram.
Oh yeah,
it's happened as of yet, but I'm still expecting it. Like,
There's still time.
Just going.
Go on, sorry. Go on, Greg.
Just a quick one. So just going back to the that situation of who could have gone in the playoffs, who couldn't have. I was texting a few of my mates, and we all support different teams, but we're all in the same group chat. One of my mates, Jack, is a Bolton fan, and he was saying he said he didn't want Blackburn to do it because they were on minus goal difference, and he said, I'm not having a team with minus goal difference going into the playoffs. He said that's sacrilege. He said, I'm not having any of that. But sorry, Jim, that's all I was saying. That he wasn't happy that Blackburn could have potentially done it on was it -2? Was it -2? Let's have a look.
Something like that. Wasn't it? Minus goal.
Minus 2. Yeah.
They were mad on Blackburn. They didn't draw for like about 6 years, and they drew every game.
Yeah.
Like ever. So there was an odd season they had Blackburn. Not that we can delve too much into it. They literally, Brereton Diaz was like by far and away their top player. Clearly, but he's going off to Villarreal, which is a hell of a transfer. But yeah, no, strange one. No, going back to the playoffs, lads. Obviously, when the dust has settled and you got to 6th and you saw you were playing Luton, was part of you thinking, oh shit, this could be Borough at Wembley here? Because I'm not going to lie, in the predictions we did on the podcast, I tipped you and Borough to make the final, thinking, oh, nice little. I know it's not your biggest rivalry, but still, North East derby at Wembley, that'd be juicy. And I blame myself partly for the fact that you messed it up because my prediction skills are obviously fantastic. But with part of you like thinking, oh fucking hell, it's gonna be Borough at Wembley, innit? Any of that, or just take each game.
I think it was important to take each game first and foremost. But we had the conversations like where Luton have had a very good season. A lot of their players are quite large players, very good in the air. A lot of their goals have came from set play, which ultimately is our weakness. To come against Luton, me and I were kind of honest about it, and I'm probably the more stupid of us two and say ridiculously stupid stuff. But we were kind of realistic about it. We both thought Luton probably was over the 2 legs we're going to win. Obviously, as a fan, we want to go to the playoffs. We want to win the playoffs and be back in the Premier League. But there's got to be a certain part of realism there. And, first leg, couldn't have asked for a better result, to be quite honest. I think maybe the atmosphere maybe got to them. Quite shocked, if I'm honest. I didn't expect to win 2-1. But nonetheless, really good result. Really good to see Ahmad as well score a free kick, especially when set pieces are our weakness. But the good thing about that is seeing him do that before the game and then kind of incorporate it into the game, which was great. The team as a whole had a really good game. Alex Pritchard played like prime Messi against Preston, and in the first leg, to be fair, he was great. Second leg, the pitch is very narrow. Probably got to us a little bit. I don't think our lads like the physical battle, to be quite honest with the bigger, more shithouse versions. I think we all knew as well, as soon as they had a corner, there was probably going to be a goal. I think we just shit ourselves, to be quite honest, when it comes to set pieces. But yeah, I mean, it was difficult. I was kind of hoping that it was going to go to extra time because normally that is the Sunderland way in the playoffs. But unfortunately, it just wasn't meant to be. And on the day, the more physical team, the won, and then that's where our much younger players are going to learn from it. Over the summer, they'll probably all know that maybe they need to, physically bulk up a little bit. They'll be in the gym probably more. We know that our weakness is physicality, and winning an aerial battle. So it's unfortunate to lose the way we lost, but in a way it was kind of, we were going up against a team which had a great away record and also a great home record. They've played great football, and I think some people, I think Rob Edwards needs a bit of credit there as well. Sacked as Watford manager, and now he left. Well, obviously he got sacked, but then he got promoted. Maybe Watford could have just did that if they just give him the season, maybe. But yeah, credit to Luton. They play great football. They got promoted. They got a good coach. They've got a good nucleus. They just need to work on it a little bit more to maybe stay in the league.
I think to go on your point, Jimmy, about the final, I think the happiest people in the world would have been the London Met Police that us and Borough were knocked out in the semi-finals, because the day after the playoff final, Newcastle were away to Chelsea. So all three fans would have been down there. It would have been absolute carnage.
Oh
it
my
really
word.
would have been,
Yeah.
it would have been such a shower. I mean, it would have been the Battle of Trafalgar again. You know what I mean? But
Wow.
it is what it is.
Ireland there, because why not? Just
Yeah. I mean, Carlisle
they
and
can just
Sunderland
get
have
themselves in
had
the mix, and
some
then
runs
that'd
in
be
the past.
bedlam.
Yeah,
Oh.
I mean, I think Gary's quite hit the nail on the head a little bit there. Like, it was one step too far. Like, had it been, a one-legged affair and we'd won 2-1, you'd have been over the moon. But playoffs are playoffs, and normally you do find the best team over the two legs do win. And Luton were probably in the second leg. They should have scored more goals. We gave them a couple of very good opportunities and they missed. But I think had we had Danny Bath and Ross Stewart there, and that's just two of our 9 or 10 or whatever who were injured. Had the big player missing was Danny Bath, because that's his meat and drink, is headering away at set pieces, and it's what he's probably been the best at all season in the league for doing that. And we needed someone who could hold the ball up front, just to get a little bit of respite, to get our players into the game. And unfortunately, that's not what Joe Gelhardt was brought to do. And the game kind of passed him by a little bit, but take nothing away from Luton. I am actually quite glad they've gone up. I really am, for a couple of reasons. I think the first one, I was kind of waiting to see the likes of Kevin De Bruyne at Kenilworth Road. I think that'll be hilarious. And second of all, you're looking at if we want to make a really good kind of push of promotion next year. Had Luton had lost to Coventry, I don't think you're looking at that many Premier League teams coming in for Luton players. Whereas Victor Gyökeres is obviously going to be a Premier League player next year. You could probably say Gustavo Haim is gonna sign for a Premier League team. Callum O'Hare more than likely will leave. You're looking at Coventry thinking they've got to really revolutionise themselves again, and they're gonna have to replace some big players. Ditto for Borough, because I can see Akpong going, and I don't think they'll get Archer back now on loan, and they've been their best two players really. You look at like Luton. I don't think the Premier League teams would have come in for Luton, whereas now they're two of our direct competition are going to have to replace big players. I'm not saying we're probably going to have to replace one or two, of course, but I don't think we've got that much of a rebuild model this season than next season than what Borough and Coventry will. Take that with the teams going down, I think a few of them will have to, you look at Leicester going to massively have to change their, playing structure and their playing staff. You look at that thinking, we might have a decent enough chance next season, but for, fair credit to Luton, I am quite happy for them, to be fair, and, see what happens next year with, the mighty Man City and Man United and all that trying to get into the other way end, so fair play to them.
They do seem like a genuine side, don't they, Luton? I don't think anyone's really going, oh, why them? There's no real... Unless, I'm assuming, direct rivals or local rivals. But yeah, I watched the last 10 minutes against Coventry. I didn't really know who to root for, because there's an ex-Rochdale player in both sides. Jamie Allen were in Coventry's side, and Gabriel Osho is in the Luton side. I was torn between, I don't really want to win. But yeah, they seem like the type of team that no one particularly hates, or they're not no dirty tactics or anything like that. You could say they've done it within reasonable. They're not really spent millions and millions or anything like that. It's going to be really interesting, as you say, to see these sort of world-class players at Luton. And I think the Premier League possibly needs it a little bit, just to bring it down to earth a little bit in terms of got these sort of galactic players and these great players, and they've got the humble Luton town. I'm looking forward to see how it all pans out.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. It really will be. And I know people are kind of writing them off already, saying that Derby's points records under threat and all that stuff. And I think they'll surprise a few teams. I really do. They've obviously, they've got to improve the stadium and all that, and they will have to sign, a couple. And that'll be their worry. That'll be my worry for them. That I cannot see many, big name players taking the chance with them. Going down there, and they'll be able to offer the massive wages, but even if they're just there for a season, they'll have the best season of their lives, to be fair. So fair play. I think Gary made a very good point before about Rob Edwards. Bearing in mind he got sacked by Watford, and it was stupid. It was a stupid sacking, and it was on the back of actually drawing with Sunderland, and we scored in the last minute against them. I thought it was a really silly decision at the time, and he's a fantastic coach. He's got 2 successive promotions now. We're under Forest Green and with Luton now, and he's just. I think he's kind of made them into a bit more of a footballing side, whereas under Nathan Jones are a bit like swashbuckling and played the strengths very, very well. Whereas he's kind of made them into a decent footballing side. So I hope that to stick by him no matter what next year. Even if it isn't great. You look what Forest have done with Steve Cooper, and they were struggling big style, weren't they? But they've stuck by their manager. Not once but twice this season, and look what they've done. They've stayed up. Whereas the teams that have sacked the managers. The likes of Leeds, who sacked Jesse Marsh and can't remember the other guy's name. They've sacked them and brought Allardyce in a little probably too late. Leicester sacked Rodgers maybe a little bit too late as well. And you look what's happened. They've gone down. It doesn't always work. We were the kind of nucleus of that sacking a manager in April and staying up, but eventually it hit us and we ended up going down. So it kind of shows that sticking by your manager kind of does work, and so maybe Watford fans are sitting, watching Luton go up on Saturday, thinking it could have been us if we just gave him a bit of time.
Yeah, I watched Rob Edwards' Forest Green side of Prenton Park last season. Can you still call it last season? Is it last season? Season before last? Who knows? You've still got the European finals to come. It's still this season, isn't it? So last season.
Still this season. FA Cup's
yeah,
this
still
week.
This season. If you it's that weird moment where what's this season, what's next season, what's last season. Anyway, the season Forest Green won League 2. I saw their side absolutely tear Rovers apart at Prenton Park 4-0. They were a phenomenal team. A lot of the players that were at FGR left the summer to go elsewhere, and obviously Edwards himself went off to Watford, but I thought they were a fantastic side. He's a great manager. I just think Watford's the wrong club for so well. Watford proves to be the wrong club for so many managers because they go through about 18 a season. But I think Watford was the wrong club in terms of they were a club that weren't pretty patient with him. Understand? You could see now, 10 games in, he was gone. Despite what they said, we're going to back him come hell or high water, they said or something at the start of the season.
Yeah.
The directors at Watford, and you're like, really though? The managers you've had in the dugout and you're willing to give the guy who's just won League 2, 2 divisions below you, all the time in the world? Are you sure about that? They should have done. Absolutely, the proof is in what's happened with Luton, but I think Watford are a different case for a different day. But I think going back to what Greg said, unless you are a Watford fan, it's incredibly hard to hate this Luton side. I mean, yes, they're physical. Yes, they're a hard side. One thing I noticed, certainly from second leg, was the amount of times the commentators had to apologise for swearing because the ground's that small. And the boom mics and the cameras are that close to the fans and I can't wait for that next season, the Premier League, where they have to apologise every 5 minutes for a Luton fan swearing at home to Man City or United going around the world. I'm buzzing for that. That's fun. I can't wait for that. But I think when you see a club go from now, obviously just before my memory, they went down from the old First Division, i.e. Premier League, in 1992, so they just missed out on the very first season of the success of the Premier League. So they dropped down all the way with a bit of success in between. I think they went up from League 1 to the Championship at one point, but to basically drop straight down to the National League with 30 points deducted. How can you hate a club that's been crapped on so much by authorities and outside influences? And they've fought their way back up, and it's a story, Greg, that You know, it proves you can go from the National League to the Premier League in 9 years. So what we're saying is Rochdale to be in the Premier League by 2032 is my prediction. You heard it here first. But in all seriousness,
I wish.
I mean, yeah, it's not impossible, mate. If Luton can do it, then nah, probably not. But but onto the stadium issue, I think it'll be I think the stadium itself will be less of an issue than people make out. Yes, it's different. It's literally you can't do anything with it. It's packed into the middle of a massive, what looks like a housing estate, which I think is brilliant. But the pitch is fantastic, and that's what the players play on. And a lot of the players will have played. You forget the likes of Erling Haaland will have played at some absolute no-mark ground in Norway. That Bruno Fernandes will have played at. Like, have you ever watched like lower league, like Portuguese league football? Some of the sides at the bottom of the Portuguese league play on like absolutely nothing stadia. Now I get that it's a bit different when you've got 10,000 screaming Luton fans literally on top of you, and I think those fans will make the difference for Luton next season. The ground itself, hey look, players have come up through the ranks who have played at any old stadium, but I think those fans and that intimidating atmosphere where 10,000 fans can sound like 70,000, because that's what I believe it's like, and those fans are I think Luton will be fine. I genuinely think they will get their home form. You can just see, for example, Tottenham going there and losing 1-0. You can just see Arsenal going there on a Friday night, probably the first game of the season, losing 1-0. You can just see it. You can see Everton going there losing 5-0, let's be perfectly honest. We're going to bottle that one big time. Jesus Christ.
I hope they get City first game of the season at all. I really hope, because it's guaranteed to be on Sky, isn't it? You know, whoever they get, it's guaranteed to be on Sky. I just hope
I reckon Luton Arsenal, Friday night, first game of the season. Reminiscent of the 1988 League Cup final, which Luton won. There'll be all that kind of, oh wow, you know, and I think Luton win it. I think because it always seems to go that way, where Arsenal get some promoted team away from home on a Friday night, i.e. Brentford.
Marge in the housing estate will have to make sure that our knickers are washed for that game. Like, walking through a housing estate with dirty knickers on the line.
Oh Jesus, yeah! Imagine that. Though you get like thousands of away fans turn up, and there's your washing hanging out.
Live
they have to move the cars before every match day, because obviously people live there next to the road. They have to move the cars before every match day, or they get towed. Imagine the bill at the end of the season if you just forgot.
Mental. I mean, I saw some news article. This is slightly unrelated. A news article the other day about people complaining about football fans. They've got their houses, live down the road from the Hawthorns at West Brom, and how fans and the rubbish they leave, and the shouting and the swearing and the thuggery that goes on with football fans. But like, I just think Luton, your stadium is like your house is like in the ground. I think it's wonderful, but I can't imagine some of the sights and sounds and things that people living in those houses must have put up with from visiting supporters on a weekly basis. Jesus Christ.
Just a quick one on the that we don't. They're on about Luton might not hit the Premier League regulations because of the ground and things like that. Does it hit Championship regulations? I'm guessing.
Clearly it does.
I would assume it has to. Yeah, I have no idea, but
because I'm thinking out loud. But if they're hosting Sunderland, Burnley, they're going to take a good few. You'd have thought. So surely, if it's okay to host Burnley, Sunderland, it's okay to host Sheffield.
I think, Greg, it's to do with the media side of it. It's to do with you have so many like camera spots available, because Premier League obviously there's more to it. There's more like media places. There's more corporate stuff because you've got sponsors that go to the Premier League games. There's all that sort of very modern football Premier League shite around it, really.
Yeah.
Blackpool had to replace one of their basically their away stand. That's a temporary stand when they went up. Because again, don't forget, this isn't the first time they've had an issue with the club coming up as a bit of a surprise. Wearing orange, having issues with their stadium, because, like I say, Blackpool did it all those years ago, and what a team that was, by the way. And like I say, they had to literally get a temporary stand. In Bournemouth, when they came up, Jeff Mostyn, remember an interview with the chairman back in, I think it was 2015, Bournemouth came up, was like, I didn't realise the cost that we had to spend on not doing anything physically to the stadium, just making sure that the suites and the surrounding area was enough for like to host Premier League media, delegates, all that kind of caper, which is the stuff that we as fans don't necessarily appreciate or know too much about. We just see it as, because I've seen it as Luton, they've hosted big teams in the FA Cup, they've hosted big teams in the Championship. Surely they can host big teams in the Premier League, but I think it's more to do with the Premier League itself and all the wankery around that, basically.
Yeah, getting
I did
VAR
wonder.
and all that stuff as well, wasn't it?
I did wonder.
Something to do with VAR, I think. I think VAR once again's fucked the team up.
It's interesting because thinking on a completely different level, but when Rochdale get big teams in the FA Cup, the amount of stuff they have to load into the stadium, like the camera in Sandy Lane, which is in with the fans, it's smack bang in the middle with the fans, and it's just all kinds of logistically, I didn't think of it until that particular VAR and what have you media. But yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, and I do sincerely hope that in terms of the actual aesthetics of the stadium, Luton, if they can help it, don't do anything to it. I think it's brilliant what they've got. I think it's a bit of a ramshackle, but it's their ramshackle, and that's like you say, it brings a few fans down to earth. I don't think majority of football fans have got their heads so far up their backside of the Premier League that they don't believe these stadiums exist. I think the majority of Man City fans probably will have been to Luton in the league before, many moons ago. So, to be fair, they forget where they were. Ooh. So, I don't think it'll come as a culture shock to some supporters, but I think it's more these people that only watch football from 2 years ago, and there's ever 6 teams in the entire country that seem to think this is like some big, oh my god, how has this happened? But no, I think it's bloody brilliant. I hope they keep it exactly as it is and don't change a thing.
I'm with you.
I totally agree as well, to be fair. I think it's hilarious. Like, even when like I play FIFA 23, I want to play at all the crap grounds as such. Like, I think it's just interesting to see what they actually look like. And I just had a look there while we were talking about Luton, and I was just very curious as to how much the houses actually cost right next to Kenilworth Road. And they're like 250 grand, It's insane. I mean, you're technically getting a season ticket to Luton because you'll hear the vibrations through the wall every Saturday, like.
Yeah, it's expensive season ticket when you think about it.
Definitely.
I suppose if you extrapolate it out over a few years, like, or isn't that a season ticket at Arsenal 250 grand? I think it is.
Yeah. Do you ever remember that? I don't know which. I don't know if it was a Yellow Pages advertisement, but there was like a block of flats, and somebody was sort of sneaking in with the mate to go up a block of flats. I don't know if it was West Ham or to watch Arsenal, and then they'd sort of knock on. I don't know. I'll try and find the advert and put it in the chat later, but that's just reminding me of that. Yeah, I think it was Yellow Page. It's showing me age now.
I think it's a massive hotel that overlooks Leighton Orient's ground. And I think where was it? It was a stadium during lockdown. It might have been in Scotland or somewhere where people were basically sitting on top of a mound and looking into the ground during the COVID years. I don't remember where that was, but yeah.
Northampton is one.
Right.
It's sort of up sort of like not quite a cliff, but like a hill point looking down. Yeah, okay. That's one I remember going to. Yeah,
I'm sure the G-Tech's another one.
Say that again, Gary.
I'm sure the G-Tech's overlooked by like a block of flats as well, and you can see down in Brentford Stadium or something.
Brentford's ground it is, yeah.
Yeah, Brentford. That's another one.
Absolutely.
There was a lad from Sunderland in lockdown. When we were trying, I think it might have been under Lee Johnson, when we went to Oxford and he hired out a van with crane on and stood at the top of the crane to watch Sunderland v Oxford. And then I can't remember who we were playing, and they have a gym connected to the stadium, and he bought a gym membership just for that day and went to watch Sunderland in the gym. And he knocked down. The fans will do out, won't they?
Oh yeah, did he have his Sunderland kit on as well? He should have done. That would have been brilliant.
Yeah, I'll try to remember the team. I'll send a tweet.
That's a brilliant one.
I can't remember
that's brilliant.
That's.
Listeners, we ask you a question. Have you ever gone through any nefarious means to watch your team live? Have you ever tried any ways to?
I remember going to Scunthorpe in League One.
Oh yeah.
And the bother was that I think there'd been an issue with basically I bought a junior ticket. And put you put it through. Normally, I'm used to being when I was in the Championship and in the Premier League and all that. The scanner and all that stuff now, which is drip feeding its way down. Scunthorpe had the old-fashioned guy on the gate, looked at me, went, "You're not 18, you're not not 17 or whatever like that, So I just jumped over the barrier. Bearing in mind I'm like 19 Clem, like it was a bit of a difficult feat to do. Jumped over the barrier, ran away, and managed to watch the game. To be fair, but that's probably the only close one. I think the rest of it I've been good boy.
Yeah, to be fair, I don't think I've been in any kind of situations like that. One that does kind of stand out, and this is again just going back to general stupidity, is me and a few friends went to Albufeira in Portugal, and some of them were actually on pre-season in Albufeira, and where we were staying, it was just like some 2-star hotel, but it was actually a really nice hotel, and our balcony overlooked a football pitch. And then I was like, "What? Like that's canny football pitch." And then one of our friends, Carl, who's a Sunderland fan, was like, "Sunderland's playing at that pitch in 2 days' time, like in a friendly." And we're like, "No way!"
Wow.
Well, obviously, when you're on holiday, you're drinking from like 11 o'clock in the morning to whenever. So us being stupid, we thought Sunderland were actually playing at this pitch. So we were like, "Oh, well, we'll get some beers in. We'll sit on the balcony. We'll wait for the match. Kicks off 7:45." Obviously, we were hammered, so we were sitting there on the balcony, waiting for this apparent football match to start. Absolutely no life in the stadium whatsoever. And I was like, "Carl, are you sure the Sunderland are playing at the stadium?" He's like, "Yeah, definitely." Turned out they were actually playing at a stadium closer to Faro Airport, and we literally sat there for about 3 hours hoping that Sunderland were going to play on this random football pitch, and it just didn't happen. So I wouldn't say that I've done anything stupid, but probably that was the most stupid because we were just drunk. But yeah, unfortunate.
What I'd love there is if there had been a game going on, and in your drunken haze that you thought it was Sunderland, and it was just some random lads from Portugal just playing in some
a mirage
game. You were like, "Hey, go on, lads!" Hey. Then you're trying to go down to get autographs, and it's just these fellas, just Pedro and Felix and Yao, just like you trying your stubs down.
Just happy to be wearing red and white as well.
Like we built the hotel, lads really going for kickabout.
Come down the pit.
I've got a question actually. To Gary and Ant actually? What's the worst stadium you've been to in all the years of travelling with Sunderland? I think I can give you mine. I'll give you mine. Mine's Hull's old stadium. Hull before the case. Is it KC? Before is it Bootham Crescent? That was just was horrible.
Bootham Park, innit?
That's the one. Yeah.
Well, now the quick save attached to it.
It had a quick save bolted into it. It was bizarre. Yeah.
Gary, and if you want to say Goodison's away end, it's fine. You know it's done. We're moving soon. We just hope to not be relegated before we move. Go on.
You know what? I would say for me, Accrington Stanley, and not necessarily because the stadium was bad. It was more so when we went. It was absolutely chucking down. It was when we were in League One.
Yeah.
And it got abandoned eventually. I think it got abandoned like the 80th or 75th minute. But not necessarily because the stadium was a dump, although it was a little bit of a dump. The fact that their supporters were in a stand which had no shelter, and it was absolutely chucking down. And fair play to them. Obviously, they all stayed for the game and stuff, but it wasn't exactly the most luxury of stadiums as such. It felt like we were playing in, like just random kind of, like Sunday League stadium. But I'd probably say that's probably the worst that I've been to. I can't really say I've been to many bad stadiums, to be fair. I mean, something I'd love to tick off the bucket list and go to some horrible stadiums just for the banter. That'd be quite funny.
Maybe we do that next season.
I've got a few. I have got a few. I totally agree about Hull Stadium.
Yeah.
That was an absolute hellhole.
Oh, it was horrible, wasn't it?
I remember being to, when Wimbledon was struggling for a home. So this has been under Roy Keane, and they played at the National Hockey Arena, and it was literally there was about 4,000 people there, and it was just bizarre. There was no stand at the back, like behind the goals. It was just an athletics track. And there was just like a main stand like left and right. That was like a pyramid kind of scheme kind of way like the stadium was. It was pretty horrible. And kind of sticking with the Wimbledon theme, MK Dons, their stadium it's not so much it's a bad stadium. It's quite a nice stadium, to be fair. But the way it's positioned, it's literally in the middle of it's like being in a shopping centre.
Yes.
And then having a football stadium at the end of this shopping centre. We were in TGI Fridays, and then come out to a shopping centre, and then it's a football ground just next to it, and you're like, huh? You know what I mean? And that, I mean, that's a bizarre place. You know, I think Doncaster's as well. That's in the middle of an industrial estate.
That is a weird one. I've been to Doncaster's.
Yeah,
That's a bizarre setup.
It's mad. About that, I mean, going back to Goodison, I mean, I had a bad experience at Goodison when we'd scored. This would have been. I think it might have been when we got absolutely tonked. So it might have been. Was it 7-1 or 8-1 or something or other in the Premier League?
I was going to say, mate, in a nice way, which time? Because
we got
hammered. A few games where, hate to say it, but no, I think I know there was a 7-1, there was a 6-2. I don't know. Yeah.
It was. I think it was a 7-1. York scored for Sunderland, and the only goal that I saw that my team score, I was sat right in front of a pillar, so I couldn't even see it anyway. So I missed that. I saw all your bloody goals. Missed ours.
But get a quid off for sitting behind those pillars. You can't see a bloody thing, but you get a quid off.
No, but I mean, I would miss. You know, I prefer. I do like the good old fashioned things we said off air before, and I was saying to Greg and all. I really enjoyed every time we went down to Rochdale. Really, and proper away day. I mentioned Scunthorpe before. I mean, you know, it was a pretty, you know, shit day. You know, it was a boring 1-1 draw.
Yeah.
I think they scored in the last minute or something or other. But I enjoyed that stadium. You know, I kind of have a little bit of like, you know, I think it's just because I grew up with Roker Park. You know what I mean? And that was like one of those old-fashioned stadiums. You know what I mean? So I do prefer them to these mega, you know, stadiums that we're getting at the moment. But I'll probably miss Goodison, but I think you'll find a nice home in the new one. And just glad that you're playing in the right league for it. To be fair, it would be a lovely stint to be in the Championship with them.
I do have a question for everyone on the back of stadiums, right? So, if you could go to any stadium, besides maybe the obvious ones like Bernabeu and Camp Nou, which stadium would you love to go to?
Oh wow! I would like to. I would like to revisit one. I'll go for one that I've never been to, and then I'll go for one that I'd like to revisit. Me and Jimmy went to Hertha Berlin, didn't we, Jim? That was a fantastic experience. The fans were non-stop singing. It was was it one of the first home games of the season, or one of? It was close.
I think it was the first home game of the season. It was around August time, so I think it was their first home game of the season, wasn't it, that year?
But the Bundesliga side of things is fantastic. How they've got things set up fantastically. So I think I don't know if it was with you, Jim, or another group of lads, but I think your match ticket doubles up as a train ticket.
Yeah,
it's
something like that.
I think German football does have that. I think we did. I think you may have had that when you went to another German game as well. But I'm sure we did actually for that day. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great atmosphere, and that's not one. That's not like saying Barcelona, Real Madrid, blah blah blah. But Hertha Berlin was a really good. They wouldn't stop. They were banging a drum. Everything.
Average. Well, now a very crap Bundesliga team that's gone to the Zweite Bundesliga as of this season, unfortunately. They have got a hell of a fan base and a fantastic atmosphere for a team that doesn't do anything ever.
I'll think of another one later. I'll think of another one. But that was the one to revisit, because I really enjoyed that. It was fantastic.
I don't know. I mean, part of me, obviously, the first one that came to mind is an obvious one, but it's Dortmund. But then, would I want to stand there and listen to You'll Never Walk Alone? That's my biggest issue.
No, I don't think you would, actually.
I think I'd have to just pretend that isn't happening. It's such a tough one, though. There's so many great stadia and so many great fan bases. It's hard to tell. It'd have to be. I mean, it's a hard question because it depends what you're looking for. Do you want the big stadium with a massive crowd? Do you want a small stadium? Do you want something a bit quirky? You know, like Braga's ground, for example, where it's built in. Actually, I'll go Braga because I know it's just mental, and I'd like to go. I've never been to Portugal.
Yeah,
I'd like to go, and I think Braga are a bit of a hipster club. Their two-sided stadium built into a rock, so I'll go Braga. Plus, we'll have to listen to that song if we go there.
It was I've been.
I was going to say Braga, so I think I'm knackered now. Probably just to say I've been probably the Maracana in Brazil.
Wow!
Obviously with the Jesus statue on the top of it as well.
Dear
me. Just go and watch a football match there. I think.
Yeah, mine would be La Bombonera, Boca Juniors, a stadium which has just kind of never changed. It's always been the history, the support, where it's located, the museum that's inside of it, the wall, the straight line stand. I think it would just be insane to go to La Bombonera. If I could go to any stadium, it would be that one.
That's a good choice. A couple of years ago, me and two of my mates went to Italy, hoping to get tickets for the Milan derby. We got outvoted between two of us. We said, "Oh, we'll get tickets when we get there," and all that kind of stuff. We should have got them beforehand. But anyway, we got there. One of my mates, Jimmy knows both of them, but one of my mates paid £220 for one ticket in the Milan derby, and it was 0-0 up until the 93rd minute, and I think Inter Milan scored. But so he went in on his own, and me and my other mate Femi watched it in the pub across the road. And honestly, the experience of just being in the pub near to the San Siro was phenomenal, because they had like Milan fans and Inter fans all crammed into this sort of very just very the culture of it all, everything, and they were all cussing and swearing and beer going all over the place. But that was just a great experience, not even going in the stadium. So I don't know what like being in it was like. Must have been like a cauldron.
Class. So many good stadiums though.